we're back with another video. Now today we're going to be reacting to why Trump's tariff plan is getting riskier according to the Economics. WSJ. The Wall Street Journal. It's the Wall Street Journal. Now, before you come in here and be like, oh, they're probably biased. This is Economists saying this, and they're going off of what the Economists say. Okay? I think in this one I might play a little more conservative. So I'll make the argument in the process, the opposite argument, if they don't make the opposite argument in the video, of why the tariffs could be a possibly good thing in the long term. Because economists say they don't know in the long term what the tariffs would be. But in the now, it's going to be very negative for us because of how woven within our economy it is that we buy out from other places. Let's have the conversation, y'all. Subscribe, turn on post notifications, smash that like button up. Watch this video all the way through, and I'm about to get it. Get it. Let's go. I ain't gonna lie. My heart goes out to anybody who goes into office. I'm gonna say that last thing before we get started. But my heart goes out to anybody who goes into office, and my heart's going out for Donald Trump too. I don't want anything to happen to him. I want these next 4 years to be good, and I hope he does positive for the country. Like, I really hope whatever he's trying to do benefits us. I do in the long term. However, though, me and my girlfriend, my girl, we kind of having a little bit more complications with these conversations because she lives in Canada, and it's a little more frustrating knowing what the border is going to be like. We don't know, but I do think I think it'll be okay. I've called USDS a couple times. I don't know, making it about me, but I've called USDS a couple times. They said it's fine, but anyways, let's hop right in. No time to talk.
The big money is coming in on April 2nd, from April 2nd.
The next round of President Trump's tariffs will be reciprocal tariffs, which economists say threaten far more countries than his other trade policies.
Whenever they tariff us, other countries, we will tariff them. That's reciprocal, back and forth.
But economists overwhelmingly agree that the move will hurt U.S. consumers with rising prices. Tariffs in general raise the price of everyday goods because companies pass the higher importing cost onto consumers. But reciprocal tariffs will amplify this effect because the policy will raise tariffs across so many more industries.
Tariffs tend to reduce entry by foreign companies. They don't find they're not going to have enough of a market to make it worth the investment to enter that market.
This would reduce the variety and reliability of products available to American consumers. But Trump sees reciprocal tariffs as a way to even the playing field.
Countless other nations charge us tremendously higher tariffs than we charge them. It's very unfair. We have been ripped off for decades by nearly every country on earth, and we will not let that happen any longer.
The idea of fairness never involved a comparison of tariff line by tariff line, because there were just so many more issues on the table in thinking about what is a fair deal.
The U.S. is one of 166 members in the World Trade Organization, and under WTO rules,
you have to offer all the members of the club your best rate, except you're willing to cut these special deals with friends. There is a presumption built into the World Trade Organization that lower rates overall are a good thing, not only for the world economy, but for individual countries.
Trump blames the imbalance in tariff rates for the growing U.S. trade deficit.
China's average tariff on our products is twice what we charge them.
Some economists point to the fact that the U.S. needs to run a trade deficit because other countries want to acquire dollar-denominated assets, because those assets have historically been viewed as safe assets.
Some economic experts point to the federal budget deficit as another reason the U.S. consistently has such a big trade deficit.
That is a source of the need for borrowing from abroad.
Economists say they're generally not concerned about the trade deficit because debt isn't inherently bad. It just means the U.S. is borrowing from the rest of the world. But economists do watch the level of U.S. debt overall.
There is a case to be made that we need to reduce consumption relative to our income. How do we do it? Certainly not with bilateral tariffs.
That's because higher tariffs don't just reduce imports, they reduce exports too. When imports go down because tariffs make it more expensive for American companies to buy foreign goods, there are fewer dollars in foreign markets, driving up the dollar's value. This makes American exports more expensive for trade partners, so they buy less of them. In the end, imports and exports both go down, leaving the deficit unchanged. According to economists, another reason why reciprocal tariffs won't reduce the trade deficit is because companies often shift their supply chains to other countries to avoid high tariffs.
We have reduced our trade with China, but we still need the things that we used to get from China. Companies that make footwear have turned to subcontractors in Vietnam to avoid the high tariffs that were placed under the first Trump administration. This happened for a lot of different goods, and altogether you saw the U.S. trade deficit with Vietnam growing. You will be like playing whack-a-mole. You will try to close the deficit on one country, and it will just pop up for another country.
So do you hear that? Tariffs are bad because economically outside, like we need access to everything outside. Like, okay, hold on. I'm gonna try to say it in the simplest way. So tariffs are bad because if they tariffed China, companies are just gonna move to another country that doesn't have high tariffs. All the countries that he's naming that are gonna get the high tariffs, companies are just gonna move to countries that have lower tariffs or lower taxes. It's not going to help really anything. It's just going to create another. This is frustrating. It is frustrating to learn this. It is because it's like the president should know this. The president of the United States should know this information. And I'm understanding why when I watched the video of Ronald Reagan talked about tariffs and said it seems like the American thing to do. Or not the American thing to do, but the good thing to do. But what ends up happening is that tariffs end up becoming a problem. And in the end of it all, it can lead to economic downfall. That's what Ronald Reagan said. So watch the video. Go research it if you think I'm lying. But Ronald Reagan mentioned this. So let's see.
Experts say that implementing reciprocal tariffs will be logistically complicated because there are thousands of items that are affected by tariffs, and the U.S. has nearly 200 trading partners. Some economists argue that reciprocity doesn't make sense as industrial policy.
Whatever they're charging, we're charging.
What it does is it gives other countries the right to set our tariff rates. So if another country wants to protect something that we don't feel we need protection, something that we're really good at, we adopt their tariff rate because we retaliate against them if they won't lower their tariff rate.
Many countries already have lower rates than the U.S., and it's unclear whether Trump's plan involves lowering rates too. Trump has also said he wants to use reciprocal tariffs to target the European Union's value-added tax, which is similar to a sales tax.
They have a 20% VAT tax, which we're considering to be similar or the same as the tariff.
The U.S. auto industry has been getting hammered and hemorrhaging jobs for so long. It is massively unfair treatment, and the president is making clear that we are going to pursue a policy of reciprocity.
This reciprocal tariff plan is just another example of Trump's far-reaching protectionist agenda.
I think there's two possible outcomes. One is the rest of the world then says, okay, it's a free-for-all, we're all going to raise our tariffs, but there's an alternative path. And it's one that is actually more likely than a lot of people might think, which is that the rest of the world says, okay, the U.S. is going its own way. We don't think that that is enhancing to our economies, and we will band together. Basically, it will isolate the United States.
People familiar with the administration's tariff discussions told the Wall Street Journal it could take 6 months or more to actually implement the reciprocal tariffs. But many economists still worry the slew of tariffs will worsen inflation and lead the U.S. into a recession.
We have times when the trade deficit falls, you may say, oh, that's good. But in fact, no, it's bad. Because what it means is that the U.S. economy is going through a very rough time.
You guys comment down below what you think. That doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good. But, you know, I know some people are going to be here like, oh, they're economists. They learn from the liberal media. We need partners. We need friends. We need outside people to help us build what we can't build. We can't build everything in America. We just don't have the resources. I even researched trees. Like, why do we get lumber from Canada? Because they have all the trees. If we started running lumber mills, literally we would run out of lumber quick. And the trees up in Canada are a lot better because of the colder air. The bark is better for us to build houses with. So that's why we get lumber from Canada. So there are things that literally that we need from other countries. And granted, know the argument that Trump is making, though. The argument that Trump is making is that, like, we need to even the playing field on how we're treated throughout the through global economics. But we're also the biggest consumers. So within being the biggest consumers, we're going to shut down a lot of markets. But not only shut down a lot of markets, we're going to cause the rest of the world to be like, okay, let's help each other out and screw the U.S. And that may drop our dollar lower and lower and lower and lower across international values. I think that's what's going to happen too. Our dollar is going to come lower and lower and lower. And watch The Simpsons. The Simpsons said Trump wrecked the economy. And that we had to put a woman in office because Trump wrecked the economy. We're going to put another Democrat right after Trump wrecks the economy. I don't know. I'm just playing. Anyways, y'all, peace out.